We can think of perimeter as being like just distance. And remember, we have a perimeter highway. Have you been on the perimeter highway of Winnipeg? Yeah. It's the fast street that runs all the way around the city, right? So it's like the distance around. That's the perimeter. Okay. So strange word. Meter is, I believe it's Greek for measure. That's why you see meter in a lot of stuff. I don't know what para means. Must mean around or something. We could look it up. Want me to look it up? Or you don't really care? You can look it up if you really want to know. Like a lot of English words, if you're trying to understand them, remember English isn't a pure language, it's like a hybrid language. It came from a bunch of other languages. So a lot of our words come from Greek and Latin and German, French. Yeah, and as more and more people start to adopt English, we start to adopt more words from other languages as well. Quite often, if it's food, it's kept in its pure form. If it's something that English people can say really well, like if it's a phonetic language, like Japanese words, we just keep them, right? Because Japanese words are easy to say, so we don't change them, right? Sushi is sushi, right? Konnichiwa is konnichiwa, right? But if another word from another culture comes into English and we can't say it, we just change it. We call that like anglicizing the word, and then it doesn't sound good anymore. Okay. Both?
Yeah.
Oh, so meter's Greek for measure, right? What's para?
This is the origin right here. It's Greek.
They're both Greek?
And then, yeah, they're both Greek.
Okay. And so
Perimetron in Greek or something.
yeah, so what's the para mean though? P-E-R-I. When I'm trying to figure it out, I look at other words that have it. Can you think of any other English words that have para in them? It means around. Hey, I just guessed it means around. There you go. It's like, I know, periscope. It's like a doctor's thing. Right?
Para means around, meter means
Measure. Yeah, okay, there you go. So the word itself means to measure around something. And a lot of English words are like, it's just pieces. There's roots put together and that becomes the English word. So if you're trying to help develop your English vocabulary, that's the way you look at it. You look at them, you analyze them as being pieces of something. Okay. There we go. Perimeter. So in general, we can use the word perimeter for almost any shape, unless it's a circle, in which case we use this word instead. Circumference, which is a much fancier word for saying the perimeter around a circle is the circumference. Yeah, so the distance around a circle, circumference. And again, that circ, again, it means like round, right? And we have other English words that have like circum in them, like circumvent. It's one of my favorite words. Have you heard the word circumvent before? Circumvent is when you try to like get around some kind of something blocking your way, like rules, right? If there's a rule you don't like it, you try to get around it somehow. I call that circumventing the rule, right? I was very proud of myself in 11th grade. I needed to take chemistry. Grade 11 and grade 12, and the way the schedule worked at the school, the only way I could do it is if I took them both at the same time. But the school said you can't take grade 12 chemistry unless you've done grade 11 chemistry, right? We call that prerequisite. And so I wanted to see if I could circumvent that rule. So I said, who do I need to talk to do this? They said, you have to talk to the vice principal. So I went to the vice principal and I said, I need to take them both at the same time. I'll work really hard, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no. Okay. And I said, well, what if the teacher agrees to it? And he goes, oh, okay. So I went back to the teacher who teaches the courses and I said, can I take them both at the same time? I'll work really hard, blah, blah. And she said, no. So I went back to the vice principal and said, the teacher said yes. So and then I liked the look on the teacher's face when I showed up in both the grade 11 and the grade 12. And she just liked, and you know what? They let me stay. So I circumvented the rule. I did terrible, like terrible, but I passed. That's I don't know any chemistry though. I passed, but I don't actually know any of it. Okay, perimeter. Determine the perimeter of the rectangle shown below. You just have to add up all the sides. So first of all, if this length here is 4, what's this length going to be up there? It's going to be 4. Okay. Sometimes in math, especially with geometry stuff, shapes, we'll make little ticks just to show they're the same. Like I'll put a tick there and a tick there to show they're the same. Okay. If this is 2.4 there, what's it going to be over there? 2.4. Because I've already used one tick, I'm going to put 2 ticks there. And then if I want to know the perimeter, I just add it up. It's probably the easiest thing you're going to do in this whole course. Add up those numbers. 12.8 centimeters. That's it. That's perimeter. Not bad, right? I could give you a test on that right now and you'd all get 100, right? Okay. Example 2. Now this is a strange shape. Do I know all the sides? Yeah, they're all listed there. So what am I going to do to find the perimeter? I'm going to add them all up. It's not bad. That plus that plus that plus that plus that. So I might use a calculator just because it's easier to keep track. What'd you get?
23.1.
23.1? Anybody else check that?
Could be wrong.
3.4 plus 3.5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4.2 plus 5. 23.1. Okay, and what are the units there? These aren't centimeters. What are they?
I just put a little, like a little tail.
Inches.
A little tick, yeah.
Or feet.
You're right. 1 tick actually means feet. That's feet.
So we say F?
Feet.
FT.
Yeah, you could write this instead. You could go like that, FT, if you want. If it was 2 little apostrophes, that's inches. Yeah. So if you ever see those symbols, you know what they are. Don't worry, you're not going to be tested on that, but I'll let you know when we see the different symbols. So that's feet. It could also mean, I think, I don't know my nautical stuff. It might mean knots. I don't even know what a knot is. Anybody know speed of boats and stuff? I don't understand that stuff. I stay away from water as much as possible. I swim like a boulder. What's that? Right, yeah. It's on my list of things I haven't learned anything about, but I should probably know something. Okay, so circumference is a circle's perimeter. Now it's a special one. In order to do anything with circles, you always have to use a special number.
3.1.
The number is so special that they give it a symbol. Because it's called, it's an irrational number. It can't be written as a fraction. It's actually, it's a number that if you were to start writing it out, you would start writing it and you would just keep writing the number until you died. Because it goes on infinitely and it never repeats a pattern, which means it can never be turned into a fraction. It's called an irrational number. And because it was so special, when they were playing around with circles, it kept showing up. This 3.141592654, etc., etc. And so they gave it a symbol and they called it pi. Right? So I'm sure you've seen it before. Yes. It's so important whenever you're dealing with anything circular that every scientific calculator will have it on there. So there's. For some of you, you might have to hit second to get to it or shift to get to it, but you should have a pi key. Right? And if you press it, it'll give you an approximation of what it is. If I hit pi equals exactly what I said, 3.141592654. I've only memorized it to 3, 6, 9 digits just because that's what shows up on a calculator. But it keeps going. Every year they have a pi day and somebody tries to break the record for remembering, like memorizing how many digits. What is the world record right now? Let's find out.
Probably a lot because some people have some crazy photographs.
Yeah, people got time on their. I don't know where people get this kind of time. World record memorizing pi. In 1981, an Indian man named Rajan Mahadevan accurately recited 31,811 digits of pi from memory.
What? 31,000?
In 1989, Japan's Hideyako Tomoyori recited 40,000 digits. But, not to be outdone, the current Guinness World Record is held by Lu Chao of China, who in 2005 recited 67,890 digits of pi.
That's some crazy photographic memory.
Yeah, I don't know how you could train your brain to remember that much.
Photographic memory.
Yeah. So, if you're looking for a new personal challenge, I'm happy I remember 9 digits, but okay. Okay. The Guinness World.
There must be a little pattern if you can remember that.
Yeah, well, what happens is you end up. There's different ways of memorizing big numbers. Like you chunk it, right? You don't remember every digit. You remember like patterns. And then eventually what happens is you can visually see like, okay, I can see these 20, and now I'm on to the next 20, and you memorize larger chunks. And I guess if you just do it repetitively enough, you can start memorizing. I know this chunk of 100, then this chunk of 100.
60,000.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe in Lou's mind, Lou is able to see like 1,000 at a time or something. Who knows? The brain is pretty powerful if it's exercised in that way. My worry about getting your brain to do something really specific like that is what gives. Like, you forget how to use a fork, or like how to tie your shoes or something because your brain's like too busy doing this. I'm worried about it. So that's why I avoid any of those really tough mental activities. Okay. Example 3, determining the circumference of a circle given the diameter. Okay, so basically, for any circle, the distance around it is simply that value of pi multiplied by the distance across the center of the circle, which is called the diameter. So this is the diameter, okay? Diameter means the distance across the circle, okay? So this is the diameter right here. And it has to go through the center, okay? A line that goes across the circle, not through the center, is not called the diameter. It's just called a chord. So radius is half the diameter. Yeah. Yeah, it can go, but it always has to go from the center, right? So pi times diameter is just, in this case, is just going to be pi times 6. And on your calculator, you would just go pi times 6. And it would give you 18.85. Okay. And because you're going to be forced to round it off, I'll use a wavy equals, which means approximately equal to. Okay. Equals means exact, and if you're rounding off, it's never exact. So 18.85, and I'll call that centimeters.
So if you just have a radius times by 2.
Exactly, yeah. So for this one, determine the circumference of a circle given the radius. This is a radius, and radius is equal to half of the diameter. So radius just means any line from the center to the edge. So like if I draw this anywhere, it's always going to be 10, okay? It's called a radius. So in this case, the circumference is still pi times diameter. It's the same thing. But in order to get to the diameter, I'm going to have to use 2 radiuses. So pi times the diameter is the same thing as pi times the radius times 2. because this is the same thing. Okay? These are equal. As a formula, we always call it, we say it's 2 pi r.
That's what I wrote.
2 pi r. In which case you're going to have 2 times pi times the radius, which was 10. So 2 times pi times 10 equals, I got 62.83
Yeah.
meters,
Yeah.
because there was an M there, meters.
That's what I got.
Yep. Now careful, does anybody have a calculator where it won't give you a decimal? It gives you an answer of like 20 pi or something like that? Some calculators will always give it as an exact value. They won't turn it into a decimal. No? Okay.
Sometimes.
Yours? Yeah. Usually if that happens, there's usually a key where you just hit it and it'll turn into a decimal for you.
Okay.
You just have to find that key. So if you start getting answers on your calculator where it actually shows the pi symbol, I'll show you how to flip it into a decimal. All calculators are different. But that's basically it. It's just that pi button times a number. So your pi is right there. See it there? So to get to it, you got to go shift.
Oh, good. She fell.
There it is. Pi. And then times 2 times 10. There you go. Okay. So you got to go shift to get to yours.
Mine too are two balls.
Everybody get that? Punched in? Yeah, 2 times pi times 10. Or I could just double this and then multiply by pi, right? Same thing. 20 pi. Now the only way, so I'm just going to show you the assignment real quick here. The only way these questions get any harder is if there's a missing side and you have to use deductive reasoning, which means to use the information you have and to figure out what's missing, okay? So I'll just show you real quick here. In your assignment, you just add up all these sides, that's fine. Add these up, those are good. Here, you can use your diameter times pi. Here you can double that times pi. Those are fine. But this one, notice this one is tricky. What's interesting about this shape?
You have to split.
Yeah, this shape is partly a rectangle and it's partly a what? It's partly a circle. So for any kind of question like that, just split up the shapes and it makes your life easier. So what I would do is I would just go like, okay, there's my rectangle. That's pretty easy. 240 plus 120 plus 240 plus 120. This though is half of a circle, which means I'm going to have half the circumference, right, to get from here to here. But in order to get the circumference, I have to go pi times diameter, right? Do I know what the diameter is? Yeah, I do. It's this length right here, which is how much? It's 120. Oh, radius would be 60, yeah. Yeah, you can use radius if you want, or you can just go pi times diameter. So for this half circumference here, I would go pi times diameter, and then I'd cut it in half to get my answer. So I'll let you play with that, okay? What's that? Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. And that'll give you this length here. And then you can add that to whatever you got for. So, but careful. If this rectangle here, if you added up all the sides, this one you don't need though, right? There's no side there. So just add up 240 plus 120 plus 240 plus whatever you calculated for here. This isn't an actual side. I should have used the dotted line. Sorry about that. It's like an invisible side. Okay, little trick. That's why I said it's tricky. Play around with it, see if you get the right answer. Okay? That's it for today. You'll probably get it done before the end of class.
What?